Hi, everyone. It's Bill Fairman and Wendy Sweet with Carolina Capital Management.
On the Bill Fairman Show.
On the with a face for radio. That's what I've been told recently by one of our fine guests.
That's right.
Who will not get much time.
We're going to clip that part out.
Again, Carolina Capital Management. Our website is carolinahardmoney.com. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like. What else?
Yeah, get all your friends to get on this one. It's going to be great. We've got some comedians on today.
Yes, we do.
Yes, they're great friends of ours that are all in the real estate business, of course, but they're in the single family. Except for Glenn, he's got wheels connected to his single families, but they're single families. Right,
they're still single family.
That's right. So
and don't forget questions. If you have any questions, just put
keep
them in the
to
chat.
Yourself.
yeah. We don't want to hear any of your questions.
That's
we got
right.
enough of our. If you put your questions into the chat, we can ask the guests if time permitting. If time is not permitting, we will get back to you at a later date. I was going to say in a few minutes. Anyway, without further ado, let me introduce our cast of characters.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So locally here in Charlotte, we have Jeff Johnson of Better Path Homes.
Hey guys,
choose Better Path. That's our man. Hey Jeff. Jeff's a dear friend. They're all dear friends. I'm going to say that about everybody that comes up, but I think I've probably known Jeff longer than anybody of the people that have been on here, except for you, of course.
I have a funny story about Jeff. If we have time, we'll talk about it.
Oh.
So Tom Olson of the Olson Group and Good Success Mastermind. I like to say he's from South Chicago, but he's actually in Indiana, right?
Yes, sir. We're here, and I'm so honored to be on the Bill Fairman Show today.
If you haven't guessed, he's the one that's going to get less time. Next, we have Randy Lawrence of Prosperity Capital Partners. He is in the Tampa area. Is that correct?
Indeed. Yeah, I thought when you were introducing Tom, it's like Tom Olson. I thought you were going to say like the Olsen twins. You know,
He left his evil twin at home.
He does have split personalities.
There you go. That's it.
And then we have Glenn Strongberg of Strongberg Investments, and he is in Fort Worth.
And a little fuzzy today. I think he's having internet issues, but that's okay.
Actually,
sorry about that, but
he's speaking to us on the other side of his shower door.
It just goes to show you don't need good internet to make money in real estate.
That's right.
Or you don't have to pay for good internet once you make money in real estate.
Hey, to clear it up, Wendy, the wheels are long gone.
That's right.
The wheels are, they only bring them.
Hold the wheels.
I just wanted to clear that up. That's all.
So, and what's that old joke about if you're in the mobile home business? What is it? If your house catches, the advantages if your house catches on fire, you can call the fire department and get them to meet you halfway.
Meet you halfway. That's right.
So there's also a benefit there. So
that's right.
I'm not liking this.
We're just playing with you. So our show this week is really focused on the single family business. We have guys in different parts of the country. Mm-hmm. They're focused mostly on single family. Now I know Randy has his main focus is multifamily, but Randy still does a lot of single family stuff. Mm-hmm. So we want to get the perspective on how the fix and flip business is working,
in
how
different
the wholesale
parts of the country
business is working, how the buy and hold business is working. And Wendy, would you like to get us started with any questions?
Well, where do I start? I really would just like to get kind of everybody up on the screen if we could. And we just want to get like an idea of what's going on in your neck of the woods. And let's start it off with Jeff. What are you seeing now with the virus? The things are starting to open up a little bit for us in the Carolinas. Are you seeing a difference in what you're able to buy? Are you seeing a difference in what you're able to sell? How are you how are you looking at properties differently these days?
Well, so we had a little bit of a pause there, where we couldn't, on the buy side, we couldn't go out to properties and physically look at them. We had to do everything virtually. We're still doing a lot of that, just because people are still a little bit freaked out. But we've had more leads in the last 3 weeks than we've ever seen. Part of that's because we're ramping up our marketing, but there's just people coming out of the woodwork right now. I don't know if it's because they're scared or if it's because a lot of their other options have gone away. I know a lot of the big buyers, the hedge funds and Open Door and Zillow and all these guys put their buying programs on pause, and they were, some of our biggest competitors. So we've gotten tons of leads from people who were under contract to sell to Open Door. And Open Door just bailed, just basically left them hanging. So just tons of leads coming in. I can't say that they're all fantastic because, once you've been told that you get paid market value for your house and you don't have to have, you don't have to involve real estate agents, it's kind of hard for us to bring you down 30-40% from that. It has sparked some more conversations. As far as the buy side, everyone's a Nostradamus on the sell side.
Right.
Everyone's a Nostradamus. Everyone's, the sky's falling. And we even thought we were going to have to change our sales strategy for wholesale deals and also for our retail deals. But it's still just, it's nuts here in Charlotte. It's nuts. I had 3 new builds. I think I told you guys this earlier this week. I had three new builds just coming out of the ground. All 3 of them are pre-sold.
Wow. What's the price range on those?
So those are all over 400,000.
Wow.
And those all pre-sold over what I was originally asking. So there are people still moving to Charlotte. I think this is a market by market thing.
Yeah.
People were moving here already. So we've got a lot of demand from people moving here. And then you've seen a lot of supply drop off the MLS because people don't want to show their homes. So honestly, it's actually improved our numbers on both sides. So I'm not thankful for the coronavirus, but at the same time, I think it's, not to mention it's forced us to get a lot more efficient in our operations.
Yeah.
So it's done a lot of good things for the real estate business here in Charlotte, I think. And I think it's just going to get better. I think everybody's going to bail out of New York. They're going to bail out of Boston. They're going to bail out of all those draconian states. And guess where they're going to come? They're going to come to Southeast.
That's right. We're ready, right?
Yeah. I was going to mention, Jeff, that one of the things that might help you in your marketing to people that have already been marketed from the iBuyer that backed out is that although they say they're paying you market value, there's all these fees that they add in that they have to pay, and it's not really market value in the end. That's what they think they're getting, but in the end, once all those fees are added, they're probably close to where you're going to be anyway.
Right.
Well, we kind of know that. We've researched all those numbers and we have all that stuff in our back pocket, but still, people have the mentality of market, I'm getting market price for my house and I don't have to deal with real estate agents and they're going to close in 7 days. And then we have to bring them to reality. It's just, it's a hard conversation to have, but we're weeding through those and they're starting to trickle off.
Yeah. Awesome. How about you, Tom? What are you seeing in the great south of Chicago in Indiana? What's going on there?
I think I think we have to look at this. This is more than ever a more localized issue than ever before.
I agree.
Yesterday, there was a big report that came out that talked about all the people moving from Boston and New York and New Hampshire to Florida, and we're already seeing that happen. So I think we have to go back to where we were before this whole thing started, and there already were trends in place, and I think that a lot of those trends are going to get multiplied. I don't think that they're going to change. So some of what Jeff said, I 100% agree with. As far as us, like, we're kind of in a boring area, but we just so happen to be like the one state around us that's already open. Illinois is still staying shut down. Michigan still staying shut down. So, we're getting some benefit from that. But if you look at our unemployment versus the rest of the country, which everybody's been, saying the sky's falling, 30% unemployment, we're like at 5.5. So,
That's great. Wow.
I mean, and it's not like, it's just not as bad as people, as if you watch the news all day, it's not as bad as what people think. So, and again, I believe, maybe it's just because I'm insulated and I'm in this area, that I kind of believe that that's not the case everywhere else. Jeff just talked about his being shut down from even looking at houses. We were never shut down for looking at houses. We were considered essential the whole way through. Our property management company was essential, even our retail. Realtors were allowed to show. They were just kind of like cautioned about social distancing and using masks. But like from us, like the retail market, we actually have an advantage with our vacant properties to sell retail right now, because exactly like Jeff said, if a house is lived in, there's going to be a whole lot less showings, and people don't want to show their house. So I think we've actually had an advantage on that. We do so many things. Our vacation rental portfolio got like kind of decimated for 2 months, but we've already gotten back about $40,000 worth of bookings, and literally in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Awesome.
But we lost about $80,000, worth of revenue, and we were finding that, all to begin with in the first place. Our property management company honestly has been rock solid. We're actually collecting rent at a higher rate than normal.
That's awesome.
Which, I mean, is absolutely crazy. I don't understand it. Everybody was worried at the beginning of this from collecting rent, but we're not having any issues with that at all. I'll tell you we had so many blessings. I just got off the meeting with my level 10 and my leadership team with all my companies. And really, like, we just started counting the blessings and everything that's happened because of this. We've got to hire some rock stars that I don't think we ever would have been able to hire. We've got to let go of some dead weight and some, people that we were kind of probably should have let go, but didn't, but this kind of forced our hand. And I think all in all, as far as single family goes, if you want to know what I still think about single family, it's the same thing I've been saying for the last 2 or 3 years. I really do believe people that are in houses that they can't afford to be in those houses, but they just they barely qualified, they're going to be the ones that, like, the first 2 or 3, weeks of not getting pays are going to start going into not being able to pay. And those are the people that are going to get hurt. And I still think that's in the $300,000 to $600,000 price point. And I still believe that the under $200,000 price point, which a lot of us, roam in for rentals and for turnkeys and what we do, is going to stay strong. And I actually believe that the prices are going to go up, not down, in that price point, because people are going to be forced down into that price point where they're maybe before they were in a different price point. The only other thing I would tell you is single family rentals. The demand has gone through the roof.
Wow.
We're getting 5 times the applications that we've ever gotten before. And a lot of these people are moving from multifamily buildings, and they don't want to be there. They don't want to be in a multifamily building right now. And we're getting 2 months up front from people just to make sure, that we're getting high quality, high qualified tenants, and we have more tenants, than we have houses, and it's just kind of it's nuts. So, from a lot of those perspectives, that's what we're seeing here local.
Wow, that's incredible, and I love that you are thinking that housing will probably even increase from your mouth to God's ears. That's what I'm praying for.
Only in that lower price point, Wendy. I really believe we're going to get hit. That $300,000 to $600,000 price point of all those people that could have barely afforded their home before. A couple of weeks of not getting paid or something happens to them, then I really believe that area is where we're going to see the biggest foreclosure rate, because it's going to happen. We are going to see foreclosures happen.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The talking heads on television are saying that it's the lower price points that are going to be hurt the most, because those were most of the people in the service industries and whatnot. But I don't agree with them. Nope. I agree with you, because you're going to have people,
because he's on our show.
Well, besides that,
well, who owns those properties? It's not those people that own most of those properties.
That's right.
Well, the ones that do, the ones that do buy those homes, are let's put it this way: if we do have to take a few back, you're still going to have people that are moving down to that price point, and then there's also investors that are interested in those houses. So the demand will still be there, versus I don't want to say the luxury market, but the upper middle class market,
right?
Where people are.
Yeah.
And as far as buyers for our turnkey product, the buyers are still coming out of the woodwork. They did slow down. Everything slowed down for like a month.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're fast and furious right now. And I'll be honest with you, we haven't bought a house for 3 weeks until yesterday. We bought 3 houses yesterday, but it was almost like in our area at the beginning, I was the only buyer because I'm like, I'm going to stay buying and I was getting houses cheaper than I was ever getting them. But within the last 3 weeks, those people now are actually almost overpaying more so than they were beforehand. And I'm like, why in the world are they overpaying now?
Yeah.
But, so we're kind of staying firm with our numbers, but the cash buyer market is already heated back up in our area.
Yeah. Yeah. And
not open door, not to the extent that maybe Jeff was talking about, in his area before, but our local cash buyers are already buying at a higher clip than they were.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed too, because I get all the initial calls for loans, that the borrowers that are calling us now are all coming into the bread and butter arena. They're people who were doing things that were a little more expensive and a little more risky. Now they're really touching that bread and butter area, which we love anyway. So that works out great for us. Randy, how about you? What are you seeing in Florida?
Yeah, we things have been going really well. The March, when it first started happening, we canceled probably 6 contracts just because those properties were purchase of homes that would be resold to rental guys. And I just knew, April, nobody's buying, you know what I mean? And so we'd have to make adjustments on the price. April, we had immediately adjusted kind of our pricing structure just because, again, out of prudency, we took a haircut off the back end. Most of the stuff we deal with is in the probably sub 300 first-time home buyer for my market here in Tampa area. And but again, out of prudency, we're taking a haircut off of that ARV. So if we were buying a house for 120, we need to be more like at 100, 105 now. Just again, because that's going to happen. I mean, I've seen a house where we had it under contract before at 380, and then probably 3-4 weeks ago in April, we contracted it for 355, just because, again, that's the nature of people are, going to look for a bit of a price discount. But that being said, we've got 3 houses that we got under contract in the last probably week and a half or so. And then just today, I was told by my team, one of the houses that's up for sale for, 210,000, multiple contracts. The last 2 properties that came in that we have put under contract to sell, again, multiple contracts on. So in that first time home buyer price point, the activity in traffic has fallen off for sure, just in terms of the showings and all like that. But I had told our team, because we've been essential through the whole process as well. We spent April just kind of refining some systems and doing that. And then, in May, as the state and the country would be opening up, and our state is opening up, that the people that wanted to sell in March and April, they're now going to be more inclined to start moving forward. And we're starting to see that, again, our acquisitions people, it's still been reaching out and texting, phone calls, all those are just really seeds that were being sown with those people then to now harvest in, May and June. And a lot of the other buyers are out of the picture just because they don't well capitalized like us, or they were relying on, hard money that doesn't exist anymore for them.
Right.
Or, a lot of the wholesaler guys, they don't have any money. They're more flim flam kind of guys. And, realistically, when they got shut down, they didn't have any money. So they're really not there. So that's eliminated, the legitimate buyers in a good way, so that we're, there's probably a strong handful of larger people like myself that are, in the market still. So, but, we're seeing this as a good thing. We're beginning to increase our marketing, as we move forward here over the next 2 weeks. So now, again, I think also too, though, that a lot of this, there's, pent up demand and there's limited supply, and people, like Tom said, where, they're not selling, even regular sellers, because they don't want people in their home.
Right.
So that's a benefit to us because it compresses, the amount of houses available on market. And so I think we're down to about a 2-month supply, which normal sees 6. But that being said, I think as we move through this and as the economy worsens, and then some of these people, no doubt, that are in forbearance, there'll be more houses coming into the marketplace. So I still believe that, there's going to be some softness that will happen. And, you know, we're prepared for that. We're focusing on fast renovations. I'm not taking on a 8-month project kind of thing. It's like get in, get out in 4 to 6 weeks, you know, cosmetic renovations, roof AC, whatever, boom, have it on the market. And, you know, that way there's less price sensitivity.
Right, right. Folks, don't forget to share us, like us, check us out. Yeah, subscribe, all that special stuff. You know, you mentioned too, Randy, that the hard money lenders, which don't exist. I have to tell you, just the past couple of days, I've gotten emails from 3 or 4 large hard money lending companies that are saying that they're back in the market again, lending money, but it's a completely different ball game than it once was.
Credit box is tightened significantly.
Yeah, they're looking for higher credit scores. They're lending less. I'm seeing 60% being very common for 60%. And they're requiring more out of pocket, like they're doing 80% of the purchase price. And I'm seeing some really, really tight things going on there. And as far as the rental, you know, with the longer term rental market, that still has not come back. I've seen a few start to lend, but the box that they're dealing in is so tight that you know, Warren Buffett couldn't qualify for it. So it's getting really, really tight. Glenn, what's going on in Texas?
Well, you know, keep in mind, Texas, first of all, is we're in 4 states, by the way: Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia.
Right.
But Texas is very tight right now. It's we have not bought a property in Texas since COVID hit, but we bought 22 properties in the other 3 states since COVID hit. So,
and so that's South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina. Is that right?
Absolutely. So, you know, keep in mind, you know, we're not selling anything. We're buying and holding everything, right? So we're buying the home, fixing it up. We keep about 30% for ourselves. We turnkey the other 70% to private investors. So we're not relying on banks or anything like that. So what we've seen is just what, you know, to echo what Tom said, our leasing department we've got way more applications we've ever had. We're getting better quality people due to the fact, people are moving down in price point, and we are running into people that are freaking out about apartment complexes. Some of them are because of the COVID, and they probably watch the news, right? So that's freaking out about that. And so we're just like I say, the leasing department, we're swamped. Our collections have been phenomenal. I mean, we've been 95%. We've been 95% the whole time. We did have to move some people out, but once again, we had 2-3 people lined up to take it that, you know, they couldn't afford it. Now, the one other thing that I'll throw out here to where, you know, to me, there's still unknowns here. Okay. I believe, you know, right now, everybody's got forbearance, right? You can't evict anybody. You can't foreclose on anybody. The government's got helicopter money going to everybody. You know, some people are making more money on unemployment than they were on their jobs. So I think in 4 to 6 months, a year, I think with 36 million people unemployed, I think there's still going to be a big hit down the road. That's what I think. I think it's going to be, you know, like I said, there is no inventory right now. It is tight. It is whatever. But just the, you know, when you look at it, like I say, with 36 million people losing their jobs, there's got to be a lot of people that are going to lose their houses. That's what I'm thinking. But I think that's going to be, like I say, 4 to 6 months down the road, and maybe even a little bit longer than that too. So,
yeah. So I'm kind of wondering, are they going to sell the notes as non-performing, or are they going to actually foreclose on people? I'm just wondering how the bigger institutions are going to handle that.
Did they learn from the last downturn that it's easier to sell a note than it is to go through the foreclosure process?
And you don't get all the bad publicity of kicking people out of their house.
Yeah.
Giving somebody an opportunity to, you know, do a workout with them. So I'm kind of wondering if we're in the fix and flip or the buy and hold business, you might need to get into the note buying business for some of the opportunities that may be coming up. And it doesn't mean you can't, you know, acquire a property that way, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with turning a note around and then selling it for a profit as well. So my question to the group is going to be more about, have we made any adjustments in our business model since this has happened. And I'm gonna go back and start with Jeff. I know you're ramping up your marketing again. Are you thinking more because you want to keep these properties a little bit less on the market, so you're not? In my opinion, most people are holding back on long-term construction projects, not putting as much money into them, trying to get rid of them quicker for the market sensitivity. Are you doing any adjustments like wholesaling or doing more of a hotel? Is that what you call it? Hotel?
Hotel.
Where you're taking them and then just selling it to a retail bar or buyer.
So it's kind of interesting, but probably about 8 months ago, we saw some signs in the market of it being kind of topped out. And it's funny that Tom's on the call here too, because, you know, one of the good things about being in masterminds is we get to chat with people all over the country.
That's right.
And get a feel for what's going on. So we decided as a company to stop doing, you know, $400,000, $500,000 houses and start focusing on more affordable housing. So we made that turn long before this ever happened. And it's pretty funny because we sit around in our planning meetings and we're like, aren't you guys glad that we're not sitting into, you know, $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000 houses right now?
Yeah.
We would be really nervous. But so we started doing that a while ago, and I think that's bore a lot of fruit. We stopped doing rehabs a while back just because we couldn't make any money doing it. So we focus mainly on new construction. So that's kind of gone away. And then we really leaned out, got efficient, and we're starting to prune things right now that aren't making us money. You know, things that we were like, oh, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, this will make us money. We're starting to prune that stuff off. And we're really starting to get our focus straight, which is what we've needed to do anyway. I think, you know, when you're in an expanding market and you feel like it's never going to end, sort of, I don't know, you just get this opportunity. I don't know, what do they call it? Chase shiny object syndrome. You know, where you're chasing all these shiny objects. And so we really had to put that on pause and just really focus on our core business and make sure that it's healthy. So that's what we've been doing a lot. And then really just trying to be smart about what we buy. And we started wholesaling a while ago. When we stopped rehabbing, we had this marketing channel that's just cranking in all these deals. And we used to buy them all and fix them up and sell them. Well, we started wholesaling all those. So now anything that we get that comes in house, we wholesale out to other investors. So we're not even buying any distressed homes right now. We're only building new and we're wholesaling everything else.
That's awesome.
So have you thought about trying to sell some of those homes that don't need a whole lot of work to retail buyers?
Well, but see, then you got to close on them. And I don't want to close on them.
Yeah, you just want to sign that contract over. That's nice and clean.
It's not to say that if we got a good subject to deal and we didn't have to come to the table with a lot of money, we might not close on it and resell it. But anything we got to pay cash for right now, we're wholesaling.
Sure,
Excellent.
that makes sense. How about you, Tom?
I will just say ditto from what Jeff just said. And honestly, there's two things. We've been preparing for about the last 2 years. And I moved my entire operation at the beginning of 2019 into this super low price point almost on purpose. So like it doesn't matter if we have to close on a house, it's like 15 grand. It doesn't matter to me half the time, or 20 or 30 grand. So, I mean, honestly, for us, it doesn't, we haven't changed our core business, but we changed it 2 years ago. And a lot of it was because of being in masterminds and hearing what was going on and knowing, exactly what was going on or what was to come. And then the second part of this is, and it actually also goes back to masterminds as well. We put ourselves in a very good cash position because of focusing on net profit, because of focusing on how much cash on hand we actually had in our own business and not letting ourselves get so like wrapped up into paying more people and having a bigger business that we don't have any cash sitting on the sideline. So we even had a boot camp called the Net Profit Boot Camp, and we were focused on knowing your numbers. And even that for us, we were teaching it, and we were, for the most part, our business was in pretty good shape. But there's things and tweaks I put in my business in November that I feel like if I didn't put those tweaks in my business in November, we probably wouldn't be in as good a position as we're in right now. So like, as far as for the whole, yes, there are some little tweaks. There's some things that we're changing in property management. There is, some efficiency things that we have figured out how to do virtually that I think will help us in the future. But overall, we've been putting in place, I think, the perfect storm for, at least for us, for the last 2 years. So, I mean, overall, the strategy hasn't changed at all.
That's awesome. And Jeff mentioned too about being in a mastermind. We're all of us on this screen are in masterminds together. And, you cannot place a limit of the value of what being in some sort of a mastermind or being plugged into what's going on in the real estate market with other people, other like-minded people, especially if you're plugged into one that has people from other areas of the country. What you can learn and see coming down the pike it's just invaluable. You really can't put a price on it.
Yeah, we'll actually have a question for everyone.
Yeah. So how about you, Randy? What are you seeing that what are you doing a little differently in the Florida market?
Yeah, so we've been super disciplined in our business and approach, probably starting back at the end of 2016, that we really shifted our complete focus to only buying, cookie cutter, sub 300, first time home buyer homes, so we've been doing that for probably 3.5 years now. And I've done $1 million homes and all that stuff, here in Florida, but just really recognizing, that we want to be prepared. All those properties have multiple exits, and, also they sell really well as that first time home buyer approach. And so that's really served us well in this moment in time. Also at the same time, simultaneous to that with the mastermind groups with Tony Robbins, CG, Freedom Founders, we really started focusing back on then as well as building our liquidity and cash reserves and all like that. And so we've done that multiple years over. And so it's really put us in a great position in terms of where we're at. And we've not gone through anything that's really super difficult as it relates to the single family home market. And then even too, we'd been aggressive in January and February selling. So normally where we may run 15 properties on market, most of our stuff we sell, probably 60% retail, 30% hotel, and then 10% wholesale, where we just sell it to other cash buyers. But we clean that down to probably about 7 or 8. And then our construction pipeline, we'd probably have, 10 to 15 properties under construction. And we probably by March had that down right about probably 7 or 8, 9. And so again, which is a great position. We entered into, April and probably had, 6, 8 houses on market. And so that served us well. What we did change though, as I shared before, was our current buying criterion. And again, there's case to be made. Well, you don't need to do that. But again, we operate, look, I've been through 8, 9, 7, started in 2003. It's like, I'd rather be conservative and pass up a deal than to do a bunch of work and not get paid.
Right.
And it's just, been there, done that, and it's not worth it. So that's where, again, we changed that formula for ours, where it's like, if we're counting on an ARV of X, we want to take a 15%-ish haircut on that. And, all of our properties, our acquisition people, they look at it threefold, what's it worth wholesale, what's it worth hotel, what's it worth retail. And then we select the most cost, best benefit strategy for our company. And so we continue to do that. We had new construction that we just got hammered out. We've put that on pause just for a moment, just because, again, the length of time that it takes to get that. We own a couple of lots. We'll probably pick up a few more lots during this time because we can get them at a cheaper price. But, overall, things are going really well. And, we'll continue to stay super focused. I've been, super disciplined as well with our multifamily side of the business too. It's, kind of having gone through those things, I I eschew the shiny object, right? It's like I'm more like a Sam Walton, right? Lean and mean. We've always been lean. We always run it thin. We don't spend money where it doesn't need to be spent. We are ahead of the curve, though. We're hiring now, filling in where we need additional people, like on our multifamily side of the business, and ramping up marketing now to take advantage, because there's less people are going to be in the buying arena, and we are able to fill that gap. So again, we'll start, by the end of this month, I'm looking at the calendar, we'll really start ramping up into June, because we'll be more full open here in Florida by then.
Right. That's awesome.
I'm really shocked that you don't like learning from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Glenn, I know you're not looking to wholesale any of the properties that you buy, but I know you've made some changes in your buying box a little bit. And then on the property management side, I know you've made some, I don't want to say changes, but you're a little bit more focused on communication as well, right?
Well, yeah, we'll start there. Yeah, you have to be on the communication side right now,
Right.
Because, when the government programs came out, there were a lot of people out there that thought that they didn't pay rent, right? Rents weren't, so we had to make sure they understood that, once this ends, that yes, no, you are responsible for the rent. So a lot of communication, a lot of, you have to work out a lot of plans. Like people who are on unemployment, they get paid every Wednesday, and so they might pay twice a month instead of once a month. So, really when I think about what what we built our model, we started planning for this in 2008. Actually, I got caught with my pants down in 2008, fixing and flipping, and I didn't want that ever to happen again.
Right.
And that's why I love the rental game, because I say it all the time, and it's so true. People are going to do two things. They're going to eat first, have a roof over their head second. We have the most affordable roof. And so, like I say, the demand is through the roof right now. And so we're, we know we have an endless supply of tenants and an endless supply of investors. And so, we're pressing forward, and we're doing the same thing Randy's doing. We're hiring acquisition people in Texas right now, because there's tremendous talent out there, and we're gonna hit it harder. And if what happens in this time frame, what happened in 2008, a lot of people aren't coming back. There's going to be a lot less competition out there, and for those who are left and do business right, there's going to be a tremendous opportunity, and we feel like we're well positioned for it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We have a comment too from one of our viewer in the audience. Britt Lucas is saying that he's buying some, we've got it up there now, some non-performing loan pools that he just got from Wells Fargo. So they're offloading. That's the big banks. They're offloading those loans that they're concerned about. And as a hard money lender, we actually got a call yesterday from a large hard money lender that was trying to sell us some notes in the Charlotte market, which we normally would jump all over, except for their, over 500,000.
Right.
They're actually in the 700,000 price point, which is an area we just don't want to get back into. So people are trying to get rid of those scarier, higher end properties, whether they're properties or notes or what have you on there.
Yeah, and they were good looking houses. They're in the right neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's at that price point that we're just not comfortable with.
That's right.
Any longer.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to see a house that's going for $700,000 right now being worth $500,000, in 6 months. It's just not that hard to conceptualize that, but it's hard to think of a house that's worth 180 now being worth 100. It's not going to happen.
That's right.
We still have houses in Charlotte. You can't build a home for what some of these houses are selling for.
That's right.
All over the place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that tells you that our market is undervalued. And I think it's probably the same in Tom's market. It's probably the same in Glenn's market. It's probably the same in Randy's market. Well, I don't know about Tampa, but depending on where you go, but you can't build a brand new house for what you can buy a house for. And that's a good indicator to me that your market is undervalued.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, labor is higher. Cost of goods is much higher. The the time it takes to actually plan for the build, all that stuff costs a lot more than it used to.
Mhm.
And-
Well, and I don't know if you guys were planning on talking about this, but supply side for those who are rehabbing and
Bring
building.
that up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we've been talking to, we buy stuff all the time, and I've been talking to contractors and suppliers, and I keep hearing this, just wait and see. You think it's bad that it's taken 3 weeks to get cabinets now. Just wait. Just wait for 5 months when all the supply lines are tapped out and they've had these people out of work. The factories got shut down.
Yeah.
The places that are making trim and the places that are making doors and cabinets and drywall, they got shut down for 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Right.
And we're gonna run into a supply problem here pretty quick. So just one of the things I'm thinking about right now is like, how much more time do we have to roll into our project schedules to account for that?
That's a great
And
point.
I don't know at this point. I don't know, but it could be a month. It could be 3 months. If it's taking us 4 or 5 months to build a new house, it might take 3 more months.
Yeah. Which affects what you're going to sell it for if the prices are going down. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Tom, you look like you were going to say something.
No, just one thing that we've seen as far as the construction side goes is that we have been able to get cheaper labor already through this. So, I just think that's just something to kind of keep your eyes out and your ears for. So there are contractors now looking for work where before there wasn't.
Excellent.
It's probably not in every market, but at least it is in ours, which we hadn't seen.
All right, we're about 12 minutes away from where we have to end. So I'm going to ask a quick question of each of you. I'm going to start with Glenn, and the question is about masterminds. All of us are in a mastermind of some sort,
or a multitude,
or more than one. We've all met each other through masterminds,
Yeah.
and we always talk about how important it is when you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner to be involved in a mastermind group, because you really need that group of people that aren't going to be yes people. Some of them have been there and done that, and just like Randy was saying, you don't want to learn from your mistakes, learn from other people's mistakes.
That's right.
So Glenn, I'm going to start with you. What has being in a mastermind done for your business?
It's been a game changer. Put it on steroids. I mean, you're around people from all over the country that brilliant people that you find out what's working, what's not working. And I've never had an original thought in my life. I just copy what other people do that works. That's the easiest way to do it. But, there's an old saying that goes around in mastermind circles: your network becomes your net worth, and it is absolutely true. And if there's people out there listening that are not in mastermind groups, you're totally missing it. I say this I mentor a lot of young people, and I tell young people this too, that it is not an expense to be in these groups. It's an investment. Every dollar you spend for a mastermind group, you're going to get back tenfold easy. I mean, you're going to get back tenfold plus the relationships that you get. Everybody on this call here is a good friends of mine. And I talk to you guys and stuff, and so. You pick each other's brain, and when you have a problem, you have situations come up, right? So, it's if people are listening, not in mastermind groups, boy, get in one, because you're really hurting yourself by not being in a group.
I agree.
Excellent. Randy, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's no doubt the value of what it's done for me. I'm in multifamily as well as several, single family and or real estate related masterminds. And so I look at like what we've been able to accomplish. We have $100 million plus in multifamily assets. On the single family side, we flip, probably about 70 houses a year. I was talking with somebody about that the other day, and it's all done by systems and process. Genuinely, I'm a part of that, probably 2 hours in our team meeting on Mondays. That everything else just runs with people in process in that. And then, over the last 8 years, by intention, my family and I have spent at least a minimum of 2 months per year vacationing together as a family to build life experience and memories as my daughter's grown up to now be 16. And I'm not saying any of that to brag, but to saying about what's possible.
Right.
And I learned a lot of those possibilities by being around other people that were doing similar things or greater things. And then I was able to say, well, hey, this person's doing this. I'm going to plug it into my purpose. And this person's doing this, and that fits with my God-given direction that I'm going. And, you know, so all of those things help me to facilitate that. And there's not anything that I do now that doesn't have a fingerprint on it that's come as an impact from the masterminds that I've been a part of.
Right.
So it's like, if you're not willing to step forward and make that investment, like Glenn said, you are missing out, because I mean, I've been like in Collective Genius for 8 years because it's a compounded return every year based off relationships, based off monetary. It's a no-brainer. And so I would just absolutely encourage the listeners, take that step. I remember the first one I joined, I'm like, oh my God, it's that much money. But it's like everybody in it was like, dude, it's like, man, I'm getting this out of it. And so I had to have faith, right? And that's where you had to have faith in the assurance of what's hoped for, the conviction of what's not seen, and just believe, okay, everybody else is getting that, I'm going to get the same.
That's exactly
Excellent.
right. It's I can't agree with you more, Randy, with what you've said, all of you so far, of what you've said. It's being in a mastermind is the reason we are where we are today, with the contacts, the network that we've built through being in these masterminds. And what I really love is that what I learn when we go off and meet with our fellow mastermindees, I get to bring back and share with the groups that we are facilitating here in town. Bill does one in Rock Hill. I help facilitate one in Charlotte, and it's wonderful to be able to share that information with others, and just take what we're getting and turn it around and throwing it out to other people. So we're able to give back. And I think Glenn who was next in line? Jeff.
Well, actually, I'm going to save Tom for last for a reason.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the Face for Radio comment.
That's right.
So, Jeff, what does it mean for you?
So, when I originally started looking for a mastermind, I realized that, joining one of these, it's all about information, relationships, and time. So where can I go to get information from people who've done what I want to do? Right? How can I build relationships as quickly as possible? And just joining Tom's mastermind, because Tom, Good Success was the first mastermind I was a part of. I was exposed to all kinds of different ideas, not to mention they were looking at the stuff I was doing and saying, why are you doing that? Or, you start to get other people look at your business and help you realize what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. And a lot of these people have made the same mistakes that you're making, or have made mistakes that you might make. And it saves you tons of time and money. And it's just, I can't even explain it. Like, okay, for instance, Glenn was the first person that introduced me to the thought of investing in mobile homes.
Right.
I never would in a million years touched a mobile home until I met Glenn. And he's like, man, these things are the best things since sliced bread. And next thing I know, I'm buying mobile homes and making money. I'm like, I got to do more of this. And, right now we've got 7, 8, 9 mobile home projects going. And then, one of the things that you got to be really careful about what masterminds you join, because there's a lot of these masterminds out there that just, it's rah. Everybody's doing so great, and nobody's being transparent about what's really going on behind the curtain. So if you're part of a group of people, or you see a mastermind where everybody's doing fantastic and everybody's making, all this money and it's so easy, and I work 4 hours a week, and be real cautious about those, because the reality of it is that it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
And once you take a peek behind the curtains, you're like, oh wait, these people actually aren't making much money. They're bankrupt. You got to be real careful about that. And then, I know I know a lot of these masterminds, they don't make a lot of money, you know,
or zero.
Mastermind's not a big revenue center for them. They do it because they love it. And I know that's true with Tom. He doesn't do it for the money. He does it because he loves it.
Right.
And that's the kind of people you want to be joined up with.
Well said. And masterminds are not like a Facebook page where you have a fake life up there and everything's going great.
Yeah, you get deep, especially in one like Tom's and several others that we're members of. It's faith-based. I mean, you're getting into the spirit world. It's about getting into your soul and, you know, your big why. Why are you doing this? It's not about making money. It's getting your life right and balanced, right?
Yeah, and making sure you're with a group of people that have a abundance mentality
And lift you up.
right.
Encourage you.
They're always looking to help each other, not necessarily. Here's the other thing too. It's not about making money as a business owner. It's about putting yourself and your family in a good position and then being able to give back to others.
Exactly.
And that's what brings me to Tom.
Yeah.
Tom has a great mastermind, a good success. And I know, Tom, you have been touched by masterminds prior to that, because I know you were in a
Several
couple
with us as
before
well.
you actually started your own.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I get questions all the time, well, you guys, you know, have a certain success, and that's how you're able to get into these masterminds, because a lot of them have a bar you have to reach before you can get into them. If I'm a fairly new investor, how do I get into a mastermind that can help me?
Okay, Tom, there's your
You're
bone,
up.
buddy.
It's actually funny that you said that, because I actually saw the need of that about a year ago, and we actually created the Community Go-Giver Club, which is actually a local mastermind that I'm actually planning on. And you didn't even know this, so those of you just tipped it up for me. But we're starting the Community Go-Giver Clubs all around the country, where you can start your own mastermind. And kind of be a part of the Good Success, national community, and it's a lot cheaper, and it's only a one-day event, so the person that's putting it on doesn't have a lot of upfront costs and hotels, and it's all local, so you don't have to worry about travel, and you don't have to worry about that as well. So we started that here. We've already built that up to about 15 paying members, and we're planning on planting those around the country. So I think you ought to start with a local mastermind group. If you ask me. I think if you can't afford, the $20,000 price tag or whatever on these, I think you ought to consider trying to, do something locally or doing something that's not going to cost you that much money. Jeff, I know has something similar to that in his area
Yes.
as well. So that's what I would recommend. And as far as just masterminds, I'm not going to, pitch my mastermind at all, but I believe that you ought to have masterminds for different things. You ought to have masterminds, I think, first of all, for who you are, because it doesn't matter how much money you make, or it doesn't really matter, guys, what you do. If you're not the right person, then everything else doesn't matter. And that's the reason why I created the Good Success Mastermind, is to actually help invest into people and really making sure that they are the right person doing the right thing, and then for the right reason. And I think that goes into your why and your purpose. I think you ought to consider having a mastermind that really does help your business. There's some masterminds out there that are really business focused. They're going to help your business,
Yes.
maybe make more money. And I'm not against those. I'm for those. I don't want to say but you also ought to also have, that spiritual or that other side that helps you be the right person. Because in times like this, you really find out who your real friends are.
Yes.
I love that statement. Your network is your net worth. But I think, biblically speaking, if you're a Christian, you're going to have to, and if you look through the stories, your network is not only your net worth, it's also your survival plan. And you really find out who your real friends are and who really will stick with you in these times. And you want to spread that net. It's very important to spread that net wide for times like this. And, the people that are in your top 5, the people that you can call at a moment's notice, if you've got to make a life or death situation in the next 5 years, you're going to meet them at masterminds.
Yes. You're so right. You're so right. I've said a couple times that, my kids have come to a lot of our meetings and the cruises, because we go on Financial Friends Network. That's another one that's really good. I brought my kids to them, and they've met. They come to our Sunrisers meeting on Friday mornings, and I know that if anything ever happened to me, and my kids needed direction, that I've got a multitude of people that would step right up and help them. And although we love masterminds, there's other ways for people to learn. Randy has a wonderful podcast. Randy, you want to talk just for a second about that podcast? We're getting real close to the end.
Yeah, so we do a podcast called The Real Estate Preacher. You can, check it out on iTunes or go to therealestatepreacher.com. And, that was really, for me, it was a way to give back, and it covers spiritual, mental, and then real estate strategy. So it kind of is a holistic approach where, and that's important because you got to have the right mindset in order to overcome certain fears. And you've got to have an element of strength or fortitude, I think, that comes, spiritually to keep you going through some of the rough patches, because in order to accomplish any goals, dreams, or vision, it's not going to be easy. And so that's just a simple way. Podcasts are a great entry point for people to begin learning. And then even from there, you can connect together and take those next steps. And that's really what it is. It's about the journey that, all of us on this show today are continuing to take steps of our own journey of improvement and our journey of helping others. And that's really what it's about.
That's awesome. Jeff and I are in a local mastermind together called King City Mastermind. And it's really, really inexpensive. But the point of that mastermind is really to keep us accountable for making sure that God's running our business and we're not taking it away from him. We're walking in that direction. So,
and once again, the mindset is not that I'm spending money on this particular thing. It's an investment
in yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
You have to consider it an investment. If you don't have that mindset going in, it's not going to help you anyway.
Right. And Tom, you said you weren't going to promote your Good Success, but how can people get information about your Good Success Mastermind?
Just go to goodsuccess.com. We also have the Good Success podcast. We just did the 200th episode where I actually had my pastor on, which I was really honored to have. And then the 199th episode actually talks about a guy who had COVID and went through it. So if you guys are interested in that as well.
Wow.
And then we also have the Active Turnkey podcast that really drills down into rentals and property management and buying turnkey rentals as well with me and Jared. He's actually waiting for me right now to record our next episode. So we've got 2 podcasts that you can connect with us there as well on all the podcast platforms.
Awesome.
Well, that means we need to get the heck off and move along.
Yeah.
We're 4 minutes behind.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Audience, thanks for being here again. CarolinaHardMoney.com. Don't forget to share, subscribe, like, kiss us.
Tell your buds.
Virtually.
Tell all your friends, all that good stuff. We look at this group of people. We are so blessed to call these guys our friends. They're our brain trust. You need to get to know them too. They're awesome, awesome people. Thank you again, guys, for joining us. And we'll see all of you really soon.
Look forward
Thanks for having us.
Take care. Good to see you guys.
Have a good
Virtual
week.
heart. Virtual heart.